Hello, hello, my fellow living roomers. Welcome into another episode of the Living Room Guitarist here. I'm Dan, I'm your host. Without guitar this week, but we'll be back next week with the six string here. If you saw last episode, number 48, I presented a little kind of developing song, kind of based on a theme. I was talking to a friend of mine, maybe you heard the story. He went to our, millionth year high school reunion or whatever, and it was looking at all the people who way back in the day were voted most likely to this and most likely to that, and you see them in the, we're middle-aged people now and they're not very likely, so he was just talking about that, and we had this conversation, and I was just kind of inspired by that, plus a little run-in about, was a couple of guys and just talking about Zeppelin tunes, and I just kind of started writing this tune in an alternative tuning, kind of based on that theme, and I called it Not Likely. Maybe you saw the episode. And if you did, please respond. I'd love it if you got your own fretboard talent out there and did something with that tune. Submit it back. We'd love to have you as a guest on the show. But so I wrote this little tune there, started something and presented it. And I called my friend on the phone. Actually, we did a FaceTime thing. And I was telling him, hey, I did an episode based on our conversation, and that I called it Not Likely. And I played the tune for him. And he basically yelled at me. He totally went off on me. He goes, what is this drivel? Well, we need some angry in-your-face rock and roll. What are you, crazy? And I'm like, all right, I get the point. And then he's just going off on me. Oh, we need some angry Judas Priest, breaking the law. And he's just doing this. So I'm like, all right, yes, you made your point. I get it. So I'm working on another tune, same type of theme, just a little more kind of in your face. So we'll see what happens. The people upstairs actually called to complain because it's all about, I think I'll call next episode aspirin and attitude or something, or earplugs and aspirin. Yes, earplugs, right? I got two words for you. Pete Townsend, right? What? So protect your hearing if you're going to use like overdrive and not too close to the speaker, Anyway, just so you know that. So I'm calling this episode kind of an odds and ends episode. Because as I prepare this other tune, I wanted to have something this week to present, and I thought I copied and pasted some emails that I got over the last several months, really, and I thought I'd maybe just answer some questions just based on some emails I got, because maybe more than one person wants to know. So, got a little odds and ends here. So Tori writes in and he says, where do you get your t-shirts? Okay, well, Tori, it's really just leftovers from my old job. I spent the 80s and 90s working in radio, and so on the air, screaming maniac, and then also a promotion director off the air for several years. And so basically, all my whole resume is just made up of like promotional T-shirts from the events I help organize and behind the scenes stuff and seminars and conferences, stuff like that. So it's just old stuff. I just use them as gym shirts now, or come in and film a show because it's music oriented, most of the stuff. So yeah, they're just old stuff from back in the day. Some of it pretty threadbare at this point. Stranger Danger writes in. I'm guessing that's some sort of like an email handle, Stranger Danger. He says, you've offered a lot of pieces since you started, but which one would you most like to see made into a whole? I guess so, talking about all the different tunes that I presented here, other people presented, do I have one? Do I have a favorite that I'd like to see my fellow living roomers really develop and turn into a complete song? So, Stranger, probably episode 30. I thought about that and went back and kind of archived some things, and it was like, yeah, episode 30, I presented a tune that I called Digital Life. And it was just in my head as a Rush song. I was really proud of that because it was just living in my head for so long, and it was such a struggle to get it onto the fretboard and turn it into actual music. So we got that done, and I presented it, and I just like that tune. I'd love it if you or a fellow living room or anybody wants to kind of take that tune, make it their own, develop it into something. If Geddy Lee's watching, please, come on in. We'd love to hear what you can do with it. So that's about it. Prakash writes in, am I pronouncing your name right? Prakash. He says, I don't know if it's a he or not, honestly, but Prakash writes, I warm up before I play, and I warm up before I sing, but it still takes one or two songs before my voice is good to go. Do you have any other vocal warm-ups besides what you talked about lately? And I guess that's why I'm sitting at the piano, Prakash. Yeah, I mean, we all have vocal warm-ups that we do before we sing, especially if you're like a singer-songwriter person. It's good to warm up your voice because, if you play in front of people, they want to hear you sing. They don't want to hear your voice, kind of blah for a while until you eventually warm up. They want to hear your songs. You want to play your songs and sing. So Most people, they do vocal warm-ups just using vowels. They just get basic scales, yeah, and these type of things. And, scales are scales. You can do anything with them. But I'm assuming when you're singing songs, you're not singing vowels, you're singing words. So maybe it's a good idea to start including words and actual, articulation of consonants too into your vocal warm-up. So you kind of marry your breath flow with your resonator, and articulate there. So your voice is focused and you've actually warmed up saying words too. So just take a basic scale and just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's just like a 9 notes there here. And start saying words, just anything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any 9-syllable phrase will do. Just start marrying the articulators to the rest of the system and warm up your voice and basically your motor speech apparatus there to get ready to sing words, not just vowels, right? So any 9-syllable phrase, just, hey there, how are you? I'm doing fine. Right? Please take your seats and we will begin. It doesn't matter, just any 9-syllable thing you can think of. And that's probably a good idea. So you might want to just consider that. Warm up with words after you do your basic vowels and you get a basic warm-up going. Get ready to sing your song. So just a thought there. You're welcome. You should see what this place charges for an hour of my time as a vocal therapist. Which brings me to another question here. JD writes, and it's Jaydee. JD wrote in and said, are you the guy who wrote that book? And, well, maybe, yeah, JD, I've written 2 books. I've got this one here, a more professional clinical book. And then I've got another one that I published a year or so ago called The Scars You Don't See. It's more of a self-helpy kind of book there. I think I've gotten like enough royalties for a grande latte in the last 2 years. So JD, yeah, I guess, but okay. Mitch writes in and he says, you're not exactly going viral. Why did you start doing this show in the first place? Well, okay, Mitch, I mean, good question, right? I started it because I thought it'd be fun, because I know there's a community out there of just people who play guitar in their living rooms or bedrooms, basements, attics, man cave, lady lair, wherever you like to play and sit on your back porch. We have just regular day jobs and we know we're not going to be rock stars or anything. Maybe you've been in a band before, maybe not. I talked about this in the very first episode, but really to articulate this further, Mitch, I honestly see a show like this on VH1. I think this show should be on VH1. We've got a community of guitar players who've got something to say. You don't have to be a big rock or pop star or sell 1 million records and all that. There's just a lot of great talent in living rooms around the country. And there's just a lot of good stuff that hasn't been shared. So I think just hanging out in the living room together, 3 or 4 guests, maybe an hour-long show, or maybe 2 or 3 guests at a half-hour show, where we just get together and swap ideas and develop our tunes and say, hey, we've got some great music out here too. It may not have that level of commercial value. Maybe we don't have the chops as guitar players to, make our living doing this, and that's fine. We just love to play guitar and make music, and there's a lot of creativity that needs to be shared, right? So we're just kind of expressing ourselves, and we're doing that as a community where we can help each other develop our tunes, challenge each other, become better players. So that's the idea. I just want to have this community where we can share ideas, because again, as an amateur guitar player, you have something to say. You're a creative artist too. Don't hide it. Brett writes in, he says, you complained once about some arthritis. What do you take for it to keep playing? Brett, I don't. I don't like pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, people talk about, other supplements, the glucosamine, chondroitin, that's fine. I met with an osteopath once who was like a hand specialist, and he was just telling me, push it. The brain will make adjustments over time. You get maybe some joint swelling or some pain, or sometimes even joints get fused there in your fingers. And it makes guitar playing a little bit more challenging, because you don't have the strength or dexterity you once did. Because there was a time back in the early 90s, I could play Rush songs like nobody's business, like note for note. And then, life happens, you don't get to play as often, and then, years go by, and maybe a little arthritis, a little wear and tear sets in your fingers. You don't have what you used to have. What's the old saying? Don't work harder, work smarter. So, this osteopath was just telling me, push it. Don't give up, don't stop. And, you can do little things with your fingers, or just little, shaking the joints a little bit, right? A little tug, little it'll massage this way and that way, and just to keep the fluids moving. But yeah, any little thing, you can stretch them out, like get your hands stretched out on the wall or something, and just get that nice stretch there, and just get the blood flowing. But mainly, Brett, just don't stop. And let's see what happens. We will see you on the next episode. I'm going to present something, this kind of more overdrive, angry Judas Priest style rock to please my friend. Maybe he'll write some lyrics for it. But so we'll see you on the next episode, and we'll probably have the Strat out and a lot of noise and maybe some earplugs. Who knows? So thanks for joining us here on the Living Room Guitarist. Please subscribe to the show, and we'd love it if you'd submit something. We'd love to feature your playing and your creativity here on the Living Room Guitarist. So it's livingroomguitarist@gmail.com. Tune in next time, and we will be making some noise. All right. See ya.